All right, everybody, welcome to another log. Today, I want to talk about the topic of assessment in communication optimization and coaching. And a very, very specific thing here, but I've been spending a lot of time on this. If any of you who have worked with me in the past or know me, you know I'm big about assessment. In every course I've ever created, it starts off with an assessment. In every time I speak to somebody, I'm always sending them some sort of assessment first to understand what they're going through. And I really believe that this is a foundation of any good coaching. In order to understand where you're going, you need to understand where you're at. And I think assessment's an incredible tool. But with communication coaching, it's a little different. And the reason why is, like, for example, if you're coaching poker, it's pretty simple in the sense that, like, I could ask players key understanding about what their goals, their ambitions are, what their financial resources are, what work they've done in their game, ask them a couple of questions, put them in some hand scenarios, so on and so forth, and get a good understanding of sort of like where they're at. With communication coaching, it's a little bit different in the sense that you're not only coaching someone's movement and behavior, you're also coaching, or you're also trying to understand what the perception of them is outside of a specific environment. So, for example, like with all my high-level executive coaching right now, the assessments that I do is, first, I have them answer a bunch of questions about what they think their perceived strengths and weaknesses are. I ask them understand like a little about their goals, where they're going. We do a deep dive there. But then we also do an assessment around what the perception is of them in their current space. So I collect 360 data. 360s are these assessments where people both above you and below you in an organization sort of rate you, and they talk about their challenges with you and if they think you're a good communicator or not, so on and so forth. And that data is really helpful because you can often see themes in that. And then the third thing I do is I'm designing some really high-level, robust communication assessments to see people's abilities to read, understand, and react to behavior in real time. So this is where I give someone an actual video and ask them to sort of break down the dynamic, and I get to see their creativity and all these other different dynamics. And what I've been really interested in is like sometimes I'll do these assessments, and honestly, I've been doing this for quite a bit of time. You get a gut, you get an instinct, you just know. Like I've one of my recent clients, like they wanted to work with a coach and the coach said they were unable to work with them, and then because it would take too long, and I saw them and I was like, this is going to be an easy fix because there's just a mismatch in perception that I need to go over, and so on and so forth. But one of the cool things that I've been seeing with communication coaching is sometimes I work with some people, let's call that they have deficits in communication, all right? And they may not be able to actually see the dynamic in front of them. So for example, if I were to show you guys a video of two people having a conversation that get into an argument, right? These two people get into an argument, and I asked you, listen, why do they get into an argument? Most of you would be able, with enough time, you'd get the answer. You'd be able to say, well, this person didn't really respect this person, and so on and so forth, and this person made this person wrong in this dynamic, and you'd be able to see it and articulate it, maybe at different levels, but you'd be able to see that there was a problem. I work with some people that, like, you show them the video and they're like, no, like, what's wrong with that? And it's become sort of this fascinating thing with like communication and perception and social skills and all that I truly do believe that everybody can improve, but there definitely is some stuff around just, neurobiology, neurochemistry, like aspects of people's personality and things that make it a lot harder to change because there's powerful things preventing them from sort of unlocking this skill set. So I've been doing a lot of reading recently into, neuroscience and neurobiology and understanding like exactly how the brain works. And I really believe that like one of the ways that I will assess behavior in the future is not only like doing my video-based behavioral assessment, but also something that, I mean, there's these tools that sort of, so fMRI, like functional magnetic resonance imaging, is like a way in real time of seeing activity in the brain, right? It's this, you go into these big tubes, you sit there, you don't move at all, and and they have you, a lot of research is based on this, where they have you do a task, right? You might sit in the fMRI, and they might have you watch a really violent video. I mean, these are like the classic studies on psychopathy, where somebody with high on the PCLR, psychopathy checklist revised, sort of the gold standard for measuring psychopathy in an individual, is put like in one of these things, and they say words like rainbow, family, energy, happy, death, destruction, kill, murder, knife, so on and so forth. And the average person shows like a remarkable difference amongst those words. But some people with psychopathy, those words all mean the same thing. And it's like interesting to understand how like a psychopath works and so on and so forth. And some of this research is not really the best in my opinion, but it's still quite interesting. And with the advent of technology, what's really starting to happen is there's tools that are not as good as an fMRI, but like are very powerful at understanding what's going on in the brain in a more usable thing. So like there's this, oh my God, I'm blanking out now, FNRIS or something like that. It's this like tool that goes over your head that researchers are starting to see that like is really valuable in assessing what's going on. And I've just been really like experimenting with, if my sort of mission is to really help and transform how people view social interactions, I want some sort of assessment tool to understand exactly where they're at like a neurobiological level. Because I believe that I've met people in the past where I'm like, something's up here. And I don't know I don't know if you can make nutritional changes or some sort of other therapy that I'm currently unaware of to sort of improve those skill sets. But I believe that like in the area of assessment, asking questions and watching videos is enough for like 98 or 99% of the population, but there's that 1% that like really, really, really needs help. And I believe that there's interesting technological tools over the course of the next maybe like 2 to 5 years that are going to really refine and reshape like what's going on in the brain that allows you to just pinpoint it. And this is something I've been really fascinated with. Like as I read so much research, like one of the big things about the nonverbal group is we're very, it's very important to me that we don't process behavior or process what we do from one lens. We do it from many. So I know everybody knows I have a psychology background, but like I'm very interested in like anthropology and sociology and history and even like, meditation and nutrition and all these other facets, because I really believe that when you have this holistic view of, or a holistic lens in the way that you view things, when you look at somebody's assessment, you could pinpoint things that other people can't. And that's why I'm trying to create an assessment that's incredibly robust. So like, I really believe that let's say I was gonna, in the future, not right now, let's say like in 2 years, as I start to really work with some high level performers, I really think assessment will look like a written questionnaire that they'll have to do, a video-based assessment, a call with me, taking 360s from them, a blood test, some sort of fMRI, but not actually putting people in fMRIs for assessments. But like basically different people will have different batteries of assessments that will allow me to pinpoint exactly what's going on with them. And I really believe that this is the space that technology is moving into. Like I'm right now, I mean, I take blood work. I do all these things to sort of better assess and understand where I'm at for performance, for all these things. And I really believe that the insights in there, if they can be fine-tuned and focused, are just, you get from point A to point B so much quicker, because you're like, oh wow, this person has a legitimate problem with X, Y, and Z. Like we need to go in there and change those things first before we can create this massive sort of breakthrough. And it's cool. It's really, really cool, the stuff that's coming out. Like just for example, like I just ordered, there's these tests that you can do, like VO2 max tests that normally you'd have to go into a lab and do all that, and now they have these at-home tests for that. And I really believe that like assessment and testing is going to turn into something that is so freaking just powerful over the next 2 to 5 years. And I'm looking at companies that are doing all these assessments, and if any of you know of any like really cool assessment modalities, like please send them to me, because I really believe that it's the future. And I want to get, especially when you combine like machine learning with these assessments and look at trends at a larger scale, like just the applications are just so freaking incredible. And yeah, like, so I've been really thinking a lot about that. Sometimes like I'll sit there. This morning I was like really looking at my assessments from the perspective of like my sort of understanding of organizational psychology, and how like I could phrase a question in a way where I can get people to answer it consistently. Like that's a bias, it's a problem. And this is, you know, in surveys and employee evaluations and a bunch of other things, like researchers really look at this. Like how does changing the words of an assessment affect how people are going to answer it? So that's how like psychology approaches a specific kind of, I guess, objective assessment, but it's not really objective, right? Like it's an interesting process. So yeah, I'm working, you know, I'm thinking a lot about assessment lately, and I really think we're going to make something incredibly special in the communication. I'm excited to just make this video and show you like kind of the cool stuff that we're doing. Really want to build out a lab. I think it's going to be in Austin. It's going to be like just a wild place with like, you know, tools to assess things and measure things. And I really believe that we can package something in a way that really has a big impact in a short period of time. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. That's what I've been working on lately. As far as my random, I'll tell you a random thing. This stuff right here. It's called KT Performance Tape. So right now I'm training for a 30-mile, 60 obstacle course race in 45 days. I'm running more than I've ever run in my life. This stuff right here, I don't know, it's just something on my desk that I thought I'd share with you. So this stuff right here, it's called KT Performance Tape. My feet are so messed up right now. I have like blisters and cuts. Man, this stuff is insane. So like, if you run or if you're doing any physical activity and like you're getting abrasions or you're getting like blisters or anything like that on your foot, usually what happens is you deal with it, you switch your shoes, so on and so forth. But there's a certain thing where like you'll see certain parts of your foot just get hit. So like for me, the back of my foot was getting rubbed on over and over and over again to the point of where it would be like bleeding. And I'm running and I'm like, this doesn't feel the best. This freaking stuff, KT tape, I just got it off Amazon recently. It's like these little pieces, they have different kinds. But what you do is you wrap your foot up with the problematic areas. So like I take this piece of tape and I put it on my heel and it just fixes it. Like it's just so wild. Like I'm running and I'm like, this doesn't hurt anymore. 10 miles, 12 miles. And it's like, oh, it's fine. So it's like, it's really been a game changer. This KT tape for long distance running, or any of you who do like a lot of physical activity and are having problems there, I strongly endorse it. That's about it. Assessment and KT tape, random, but talk to you soon.